Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you see this. This is Dee with INFP-A Assertive Insights. And today we're going to be talking about what do you do with an INFP once you catch one. I don't think, I want to tell everybody welcome. They like my new boots. This is one of my impulse buys for Christmas for myself. But anyway, I promised you I would do that. Is how to keep an INFP in a romantic relationship, and I always extend that to include friends, close friends, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But it's after Valentine's Day, and maybe you caught one. If you're watching about you're not an INFP, you want to know how to keep one around. I haven't actually seen a video about this specific topic, and if there is one, please put it down below the link, not just the person, because a lot of people have hundreds of videos and I'm not going to scan through. If you put the link to it, I'd appreciate it, and I'd like to see it. But there are many in there about how to find an INFP in the wild, how to know INFPs like you, things not to say to INFPs, things to say to INFPs, and most of the time, but not what happens when you catch one. Besides kind of be afraid a little bit down the road. So this is kind of smoothing things over, because we are perceived to be too much for people, and INFPs get their hearts broken all the time. It's very deep. It's not, I said it was going to be the adult version. I decided to not do the bullet points. That's not my style, to just go with the flow like I normally do. I will leave out a lot of ideas, I'm sure. I may have a part 2 when I leave things out. If you have things to comment below, ways to keep an INFP, if you have been in a relationship with one that's long term, I'd love to hear it. We would all love to hear it. We're all a big community here. So it's not going to be as adult as I had wanted to do, and I'm a little bit embarrassed by some of the things I was going to say. But it won't be what you find is that we're hobbits and fairies in the forest, and the little, what I call teenagey, and I know a lot of you who listen are younger, but this is through across the life spectrum. And so yeah, it won't be fantasy in that way. It'll be different kinds of fantasy. But so that's what it's going to be. 2 caveats, I call it caveats, but 2 things, disclaimers I want to put in here is, number 1, this is going to be generally speaking for INFPs. And I know that INFPs are all different. I know that we're talking mainly about romantic relationships. I know that INFPs come in every flavor, form, whatnot, sexuality on the spectrum, pansexual, bisexual, homosexual, heterosexual, asexual, demisexual. There's just a million terms out there now, and I get lost in them. Just to say that we are all different, and just apply. I'm going to be as general as I can. I think what I'm going to say applies generally, and if it doesn't apply to you specifically, because you're in one of these subtypes, then just know that I hear you and I see you, but I don't have enough time to go into all the different directions. So it will be generally across the board, and not specific to any one type of situation. I will say that I don't know about INFPs being polyamorous. I know that's a new word. Every time I go on any kind of group online, that's the new term, it seems like. The hot trend is being polyamorous. I don't see INFPs being that way. If you are, I'm going to talk to you, like do a chat. Just hit me up, make a comment below, or email me. And the email is um, in the home section. But yeah, um, that part I do not see, but that could be that I could just be out of the loop for that. So that's the first thing. It's going to be generalization. Second thing is I'm old, so what do I know about relationships? What do I know? I'm 20, and I have a lot of people who are in the 18 to 24-year-old age group who watch my channel, and I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody. But you're like, I'm 20 and I'm going through all this. You don't understand. You've never been there. You're old. Let me tell you something. It is hard out there now. Yes, I am old. That doesn't mean anything. And I know you're like, oh gosh, you can't imagine thinking it. I have dated more after retirement than I have my whole life put together. So yes, I know what it's like out there. I know who's in the pool, the dating pool, the gene pool, whatever kind of pool. And yes, the older you get, the smaller that pool gets. The more subtype you get, the smaller the pool gets. But with so I do have some reference, and I will put a little bit of some things about myself in there. So I spent 6 minutes talking about the intro. It's too big a thing, but I did want to put that out there. That yes, I have dated in my teenage years. I didn't date again from age 22 to 35. I did not date. From age 35 to 50, I did date. Did not date again until, I don't know, mid-60s. And then I'm still looking. And I've been in and out between the mid-60s now the next decade. So, yes. So that's what, and I do read up on a lot, and I am on a lot of groups and threads online. I spend a lot of time online like you do. And so we're going to go from there. So I've spent half my time just talking about that part. So anyway, wanted to get that out of the way. How do you keep, and you've called an INFP, maybe over Valentine's Day, how do you keep them? First thing I would suggest is to talk to your INFP about what your intentions are. Why are you dating, and why won't use the word date. I like to use the word talk to. I think that's more of a casual term people use nowadays instead of formal dating. Talk to. Why are you talking to this person? What are your intentions? I think to set that out, and I'm just learning this in the last year or two myself. This is what I would like to have addressed. And it's uncomfortable. I mean, it's uncomfortable to say, well, you have coffee, you meet, like you meet online. I'm on dating apps, not anymore, but I have been. So you meet online, say for instance, and then you want to meet in person, and you have your coffee. You know, your usual how you do this. You have your coffee, see if you get along. Put out there. You say, well, we have to just see if it grows, and it's just too embarrassing to see if it's going to go any further. We don't know yet. Well, that's okay to say that. I have had that said to me years ago. I was on an initial meet and greet, and the person said, what are you looking for? And I'm like, oh gosh, nobody's ever asked me that. And at the time, I knew, but I didn't want to say. But so if you have an INFP in your life that you've met, put that out there first. What are you looking for? This is what I'm looking for. INFP, you know what you're looking for. Go ahead and say it. Don't say, I don't know, like I've done a million times. I don't know when I knew daggone good and well I did. The reason being, and the reason this is so important, number one, it doesn't lead people on, but how this applies to INFPs is that we don't see you. INFPs do not see the person in front of you, in front of them. They see the illusion of what you can be. We see potential in people. We immediately see potential in people. Now, Frank James has a thing. I will mention him because I think it's kind of funny, but it's sad that it's true. He has an old video about the 16 personality types and on a date, on the initial date. Yeah, he's got one about that. And INFPs is like with the person, and the person's just like saying general stuff, and then the INFP is thinking, "Oh, this person, I could marry them, and I can have their kids." It's funny, but it is almost really true. We immediately see if we like somebody, if our emotions are getting into that, we will see that the potential in you, and fall in love with that potential, and almost immediately a lot of times. But we won't tell you that. But that if you're not INFP, you stop and think about it. If you are in denial, stop back and reflect on that and see if that's not true to a lot of points. So it's important to say, well, I'm just looking for a friend, or say what you like about the person too, the INFP. Well, I like you. I like being around you. We got a certain vibe going on. I want to get to know you better before making any decisions. Let us know something. Number one, it doesn't get our illusions way out of whack too soon, I don't think. I don't know, I never tried that, but I would think they would put us more back into reality. And so that would help. If it's not going to work out, if it's not going to be what you're not in sync in the beginning, it's better to just cut ties then than decades down the road. And that has happened to me with, we'll say, with my kid's father. We were married for 13 years. We dated 6 years before, so I spent like 20 years of my life with him in one way or another. The last thing he said to me when he gave me the house keys and walked out the door after the divorce, he said, well, I never wanted kids in the first place. Now, I had had that discussion with him several times before we got married. And if you're with an INFP or an INFP, please tell the truth. Don't pussyfoot around because, well, they won't like me. And like he said, and I asked him, I said, why didn't you tell me back then? We married 13 years, and you weren't in this. And he said, well, if I had told you the truth in the beginning, you would not have married me. And I said, yeah. But look what would have happened. We would have had completely different lives. We were both more or less miserable. It was a marriage of convenience, and it was more miserable. We were just two ships passing in the night. That is no way to live. Been there, done that. It's better to nip it in the bud in the beginning and have that conversation. That's the first thing about that. The second thing about that is I've come to something that just crossed my mind, is that our FI, which we have a lot of feelings, and our FI Dom doesn't know, and our feelings, it doesn't differentiate between romantic partners and friends, and maybe acquaintances too. I've come across friends, and I will say friends of both genders. I've gotten into issues with both genders when I'm just being nice to them, and they think that I'm hitting on them. And I had a woman one time ask me, "Are you flirting with me?" And I'm like, "What? No." No, if I was flirting with you, you would know it, because we do it overboard and don't do it very well. But no, I'm not doing that. So I get it. Maybe that's why I don't have any female friends. I don't know. Come across as too nice. When we start caring about people, the FI doesn't compartmentalize what type of relationship it is. Now, I'm not saying that all the friends, you go out and have sex with your friends. I'm not talking about that, but the caring part. We feel deeply for people we care about, regardless of what it is. So it's good. I mean, I've had to There's two INFJs, no FEs, and I know I've got to be really careful now with people who are FE type F in there. One was just like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're just friends. I'm just being nice to you. So I kind of chased her a little bit, to say, hey, wait, come back. It was a misunderstanding. I'm not into that. That's not what I'm doing. And the second INFJ, I just let her go. I think she misunderstood what I was saying when I was saying, like, well, I just cared about you as a person. I did put that in there. As a person, I respect you and care about you. I think she probably took that the wrong way. So I've learned that so I'm just letting it go. She can think what she wants to think. So the FI doesn't differentiate. So INFPs, be aware of that, and people with an INFP, be aware of that just because we're being really nice to you and we act like we care about you doesn't mean necessarily that we want to get married and have babies and live happily ever after, or any of that kind of thing. So put that out there in the beginning. This is what our interaction is going to be. This is what I'm looking for. Are you in the same situation? Do that. And I've just spent a lot of time just on this one part. So that's that. That is all important, I think. So number 2 is, what do you do after you get it? How do you keep it? I'm going to, since I'm getting long, I'm going to just envelop it into a lot of things. Umbrella, I could go forever, but umbrella it into, we get bored easy. And I know there's a thing that says INFPs are loyal. You get an INFP, you've got it made. They're loyal. They'll stick with you through thick and thin. This is what you see on the videos and in the articles. They would get you, so it sets itself up for being used and taken for granted. True, we are loyal, but we do get tired of being taken advantage of, and we do feel that, and we are just, I think, innately perceive that we're being misunderstood. Anyway, so that doesn't help. But you got to keep our interest. We will leave. We will door slam. We will leave. We will walk out. But we're loyal while we're in it. But you got to keep us interested. Now, on the physical end, if it's a romantic relationship, I saw the other time, how do you have dates? Well, you have dates who's talking about fantasy, and I won't say who the people are. I do remember the creators, different ones who've said, yeah, I know a couple would talk like this. Just talk about fantasy. Talk about, I read somewhere that INFPs like not like fiction more than nonfiction. I don't know. I like nonfiction. I make my own fantasy. There are a lot of INFPs. This is a secret. I think it's a secret. There are a lot of INFPs out there. A lot of introverts out there, intelligent introverts out there in general, who have a fantasy world. It has nothing to do with hobbits necessarily. It has nothing to do with being in the forest and picking flowers. It has a lot to do with the romantic side, the sexual side. I'll just go ahead and say it. The sexual side, that's got to be there. It's got to be there to whatever the definition that is. And I'm not talking about sex as an intercourse necessarily, or whatever physical. It can be mental, physical, whatever. It's not vanilla. I'll just put it that way. My saying is, I've always told people like I date that they run off. A lot to handle, because we are that deep. I mean, like, why settle for vanilla when there's Baskin Robbins 30-some flavors out there? We are creative. We're creative in every room of the house. We're creative. I'm going to leave it at that. So don't just think that we just want to sit around and discuss theory and just sit around. That's just something that's not talked about. That's all I'm going to say. I could do a whole thing about that. So don't take us for granted. Keep it going. Keep the fires burning. Whatever fire that is. If hobbits are your thing, and I keep saying hobbits because that keeps coming up in videos. If hobbits are your thing, keep it going. Don't get to the point where, oh, well, they're not going anywhere. I will say personally, and I'm just going to tell a little bit about that. I am very loyal in all my relationships, but I tend to be, and they say, well, you're single. Well, yeah, I know why I'm single. That comes to the next point. Yes, I'm single because I see myself now, looking back, I see myself, and people don't understand this and they don't want to get involved now in my older age, but and I think it's because I get bored, is that I'm a serial monogamist. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm very loyal while I'm in it, but I will slam the door at some point if I'm totally bored and not getting my needs met, and then I get over that and then I go again. So yeah, that is a thing. We're loyal while we are in it. There's a condition to that. Which leads me to my next thing, is that if you've got an INFP, please, and it's very important to not only validate them, validate their feelings particularly. A lot of things I read about INFPs, they say, well, they feel misunderstood. No, it's more we feel invalidated. We need that validation. It's not that we don't work on ourselves. We do, but we need outside validation, particularly from those that we care about. So do that, and also give us our alone time. I know I'm getting long because I could do this for an hour. Please bear with me. I think it's important. This part's really important. It's probably the real reason that I'm single. Not that you care why I'm single. I'm just saying. Because I'm hard to catch. People have known that all around. You're a good catch, but you're hard to catch. And I'm hard to keep. I'm not that hard to catch. I'm hard to keep. Yes. But our alone time. We need a lot of alone time. And alone time can mean different things to different people. Now, if you run into a 4-wing 5, an INFP 4-wing 5 is the most common INFP types. So more than likely you are going to run into a 4-wing 5. We're the bohemian. We're the adventurers. My idea of alone time is seriously alone, like going somewhere by myself for several days or a week. Long distance relationships. I love long distance relationships because you don't have to put up with me. You don't have to put up with people every day. My idea of and I have had this conversation with some people I've dated in the last 10 years, is what the idea of how we're going to live. And all these things, you should ask all these questions. And your idea of, and I'm like, I need my own place. I need my own place. I don't really want to give up my place. We'll have our own place, but I need some place for that to call my own. And of course, that's interpreted usually by the general population as that's a place to go and have an affair or whatever. That's not what INFPs are about. The affair is with ourselves. There was some kind of thing, a meme or something that came out, I think it's a meme, that is true, I think, for INFPs, and I love it. It's like, yeah, my idea of a relationship is to have my own place and only see you a couple of times a week, just see you every once in a while. That is true for a lot of INFPs if you stop and think about it. We do need alone time. It's better if we have our own alone time. It's like Whoopi Goldberg, and I don't know what her personality type is, but she was saying that, and I can relate to that. I think a lot of INFPs can relate to this, she's saying that the reason she's not married is she don't want anybody in her house. She dates and she'll have relationships and she dates, but she don't want anybody in her house. I don't want anybody in my house at my age. The older you get, I think the worse it gets. But yeah, we need a lot of alone time, like vacations alone. Live halfway across the world alone. And the thing for me, I think, and maybe a lot of INFPs, it keeps the relationship alive longer if you're not with somebody all the time or every day, because you really start to get on people's nerves. So, yeah. So that's what I would say about that. And I've gone 25 minutes. This is 10 minutes longer than I wanted to go. These are just some tips of how to keep. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say is, or I wanted to bring up, is the idea of gifting. We may be shy, we may be reticent, whatever. And I know the majority of the world is censors. So I'm talking to censors here. INFPs are hopeless romantics. I did a video about that like 3 years ago and I didn't get very many views. But we are, and if you think you're not, then think again. Somewhere in there you're hopeless romantic about something. Because you got the FI dumb. It's in there with the feels are in there. So gifting, I think we want something more personal. I don't want the vacuum cleaner. I've gotten that. I've gotten vacuum cleaners. I've gotten cameras. The camera I'm using right now is a replacement for a gift I was to get, but I actually terminated a relationship before Christmas. I did walk out and slam the door before Christmas. So that was going to be my gift, I found out later, was a camera. No, I send flowers. I like to send flowers. I don't know if everybody likes that, and gender, I'm not being gender specific. I have sent flowers to all kinds of people. Friends, whatever. So I know I'm quirky and I'm weird that way, but something personal, and we listen the most and we know the most about people. So we, yeah, give us something personal. And a vacuum cleaner is not personal. We're not practical. We are in the clouds. We are not practical. Get something out of the box. Tickets to something that we'd like to see. Maybe we want to spend a day with a picnic out in the forest, picking flowers. Maybe that I would much rather do that, quite frankly, than get a vacuum, which I have gotten a vacuum before. That still sticks out in my mind. That happened well, my kid's dad gave me a vacuum cleaner. He was very practical. He loved working on cars and tools, so that was his thing, and he thought that would be my thing, something around the house. No, he never gave me anything, anything sentimental. So give something sentimental, whether it's appropriate, not right, wrong, whatever, something sentimental. So this is way long. Like I said, I may do part 2. Maybe this is all I want to do today. Put in the comments below, if you're stuck with me, comments below some things that you think as an INFP, what you would like for your partner. And I say partner and friends, partner and romantic. Because like I said, the FI doesn't know the difference. And it could be either one. I'm talking about either one. Going to try to keep it PG rated today. I could get into the more of the romantic part, but I decided not to. Maybe another time. Maybe maybe if I know you privately, we'll talk about that again. But yeah. But put what. But as INFPs, put what would keep you staying in a relationship. if you are in a long-term relationship with an INFP, what you have done that you think